Listen to this every morning. You were not born to be average. You weren't made to simply go through the motions, to punch the clock, to settle. You are here to do something meaningful. Every morning, life hands you a blank page. And whether you know it or not, you're the one holding the pen. The world will try to tell you who you are, try to write your story for you, but you don't have to let it. You can write your own lines. You can speak your truth into the day ahead and bend it toward your will. That's the beauty of each morning. It's a quiet whisper saying you get another shot to do it better, to walk with purpose, to break free from old doubts and limiting beliefs. But here's the thing, if you don't speak life into your day, the noise of the world will fill that silence. It'll crowd your mind with fear, with hesitation, with reasons to hold back. So before the world gets a say, you have to be the one to speak, and not just any words. Words that build, words that empower, words that move you. You've got to believe in yourself when the room is empty. You've got to show up for your dreams even when no one's clapping. That's where success is born, and those quiet, lonely moments where the only voice you hear is your own. You can't wait for the perfect time. You can't sit back hoping that confidence will show up like a guest you invited to the party. No, you build it, step by step, action by action, day by day, and it starts now with how you begin your morning. There's something powerful about a person who wakes up determined, not frantic, not chasing, just calm, focused, unshaken by outside noise. That's what separates the ones who dream from the ones who do. You've got to train your mind like an athlete trains their body. Feed it with strong, bold thoughts. Stretch it, challenge it, push it, and then act on it, because knowledge without action is like a seed never planted. It doesn't matter what you know if you're not living it. Every morning, you've got two choices. You can either let life push you around, or you can push back. You can either shrink to fit your circumstances or rise to reshape them. The difference lies in your decision, not in your talent, not in your background, but in your decision to rise every day without excuse, without waiting, without apology. You may not be able to control everything, but you can control your thoughts. And your thoughts shape your emotions drive your actions, and your actions, they create your life. So if you want to change your life, start by changing the way you speak to yourself every morning. Instead of saying, "I'm tired," say, "I'm grateful to be alive." Instead of saying, "This is hard," say, "I'm built for this." Because what you affirm becomes what you believe, and what you believe becomes who you are. Don't underestimate the power of small steps. A mountain is moved one rock at a time. A dream is built one act of courage at a time. And a legacy is written in the quiet decisions you make when nobody's watching. Get up and move with faith, not fear, because when you act in faith, the path begins to reveal itself. Doors open, people show up, opportunities rise that you couldn't have predicted, but it all starts with you deciding to rise first. You're not chasing the life you want. You're creating it with your focus, with your discipline, with your persistence. You're not asking for permission to be great. You're owning the fact that greatness was already in you. It's been there. It's just been waiting for you to stop hiding, to stop hesitating, to stop pretending you're less than what you are. So don't just hear these words, live them. When your feet hit the floor, let your actions reflect your hunger. Let your eyes show the fire. Let your choices echo your vision. And if you stumble, get back up with more wisdom, more grit, more clarity, because life doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for courage. It asks for intention. It asks for you to show up. So take a deep breath. Feel that. That's possibility. That's the start of something powerful. You've got today, not yesterday, not tomorrow today, and that's more than enough. Now go out there and make it count. Here are 5 powerful keynotes for listen to this every morning. The kind of message that gets someone fired up, focused, and ready to conquer the day. 1. You're in control, not your past, not your fear, not your doubts. Every morning is a reset button. Don't let yesterday's mistakes weigh down today's potential. You've got the steering wheel. Take it and drive forward, too. Your mindset sets the tone for your entire day. Before the world gets noisy, get your mind right. Feed it belief, purpose, and grit. What you focus on first thing shapes everything that follows. 3. Success doesn't come to those who wait, it comes to those who work. Hit the ground running. Don't wait for motivation to strike. Create your own energy. Start with a small win, then stack them. 4. Talk to yourself like someone you believe in. Silence the inner critic. Replace it with a voice that reminds you of your strength, resilience, and worth. If you wouldn't say it to a friend, don't say it to yourself. 5. Today is not promised, but it is a gift. Make it count. Take that risk. Start that habit. Say what needs to be said. Whatever you do, don't sleepwalk through a day you'll never get back. Listen. If there's one truth I could place in your heart right now, something you carry with you the moment your feet touch the floor each morning, it's this: you are in control, not your past, not your fear, not your doubts. Not the voice in your head that tells you you're not ready, not good enough, not strong enough. That voice isn't you. It's just an echo of every limitation you've ever believed. But you, my friend, are something entirely different. You're the force that can move mountains if you'd only remember who's really in charge. It doesn't matter how many mistakes you've made. It doesn't matter how messy things have been. The past, it's gone. You can't change it, but you can use it. You can let it shape you, or you can let it shatter you. That choice, that's yours, always has been. See, there's a dangerous myth floating around, that we're stuck because of what happened to us. That we can't rise because we've been knocked down too many times. But let me tell you something that should make your heart race. You are not the things that happened to you. You are the power that decides what they mean. Maybe you were abandoned. Maybe you failed. Maybe people laughed at your dreams. Maybe they still do. Good. Let them laugh. Let them mock you, because while they are busy laughing, you're going to be building. While they are throwing stones, you're going to be stacking bricks. Every morning you wake up, the world hands you the same blank canvas, and the brush it's in your hand, not theirs. Not your parents, not your critics, not your past selves. Yours. And if your painting looks like pain right now, that's fine. Use that. Turn it into something bold, something powerful. Don't run from it. Paint it, own it, transform it. Too many people give their power away before the day even begins. They check their phone, they scroll through someone else's highlight reel, and they start believing they're already behind. But behind who? This life isn't a race against them. It's a challenge to outgrow the version of yourself that woke up yesterday. So ask yourself this: what are you handing control over to? Is it the fear that you're not enough? The fear of failing again? Let me be blunt. Failure isn't a death sentence. It's a classroom. It's a brutal, beautiful reminder that you're trying. And trying, my friend, is the first act of taking control, because most people never even do that. Most people sit back, point fingers, make excuses, and wonder why nothing changes. But you're not most people. There's something burning in you, something you've tried to smother with distractions, with comfort, with doubt. But it doesn't die, does it? That dream, that idea, that vision, it keeps tapping on your shoulder when the world goes quiet. That's not a coincidence. That's not random. That's your power reminding you that it's still in there, waiting for you to take the wheel. And I know, sometimes it's hard to believe you're in control when everything feels out of control. The bills pile up, the people you trusted leave, the progress seems invisible. But this is where champions are made. Not when things are easy, but when it would be so much simpler to give up, and yet You don't. You keep going. You rise when you've got no reason left to, except one, because you can. That's all it takes. One reason, one decision, one morning where you say, not today, not this time. I'm done letting my fears drive this car. I'm done letting the old me keep the new me in chains. You want freedom, you want power, then take it. It's not going to be handed to you. It's going to be claimed by you, and claiming it means showing up, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. That's where real strength is built. That's where self-trust is forged. The past, it'll try to whisper. It'll remind you of all the times you fell short. It'll show you every closed door, every scar. Let it talk, but don't let it lead. Let it sit in the back seat. You've got your hands on the wheel now, and fear, oh, fear's tricky. It pretends to protect you. It says, don't try, don't leap, you'll only fall again. But that's a lie. Fear isn't there to stop you. It's there to signal something matters, that you're on the edge of growth, that something big is coming. Lean into it, step through it, thank it for showing up, and then walk past it like it's nothing. Because guess what? It is doubt that one's loud too. It creeps in the moment you start dreaming. It questions every move you make, but here's the secret. You don't have to silence doubt to act. You just have to act anyway. Courage isn't the absence of doubt. It's walking forward with it in your pocket and saying, you don't own me. You're the writer of this story, the hero, the fighter, and no hero's journey is clean. It's gritty, it's full of setbacks, but it's also full of comebacks, and you right now, you're in the middle of the comeback chapter, so rise, not because everything is perfect, but because you've decided it doesn't need to be. You've decided that you're going to show up messy, tired, scared, but you're going to show up because control, it doesn't look like perfection. It looks like presence. It looks like action. It looks like saying, I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm sure as hell not staying where I am. And you won't. You can't, because once you've seen your own strength, even just a flicker of it, you can't unsee it. Once you've tasted even a drop of your potential, there's no going back to playing small. So here's the deal. Today is yours, not because the world says so, but because you do. The clock struck morning, and that means you've been handed another chance to rise, to choose, to change the past. It had its turn. Fear, it had its voice. Doubt, it had its say. Now it's your turn. Take the wheel. The moment you open your eyes in the morning, something sacred happens. You've been given another shot. Another sunrise, another stretch of hours you can fill with whatever you choose, and that choice, what you decide to do with it, how you choose to think, speak, act, that's the blueprint for your day, that's the foundation. That's the spark. It all begins with mindset, not talent, not circumstances, not how much money's in your pocket or who likes your photos. No, the very first tool you pick up before anything else is your mindset. Now, I want you to picture something. Two people wake up at the same time, same town, same job, same challenges ahead. One of them opens their eyes and groans, here we go again, another day of the same grind, nothing ever changes. The other one, facing the same storm, wakes up and says, all right, let's see what I can build today. Let's see what kind of progress I can carve out, even if it's small. Same world, same problems, two completely different outcomes. Why? Because one of them understood a secret that changes everything. What you think about first thing in the morning becomes the lens through which you see your entire day. You've heard the saying, you get out what you put in. That's not just about effort or energy. That's about thoughts. That's about intention. If you plant bitterness, you harvest bitterness. If you plant gratitude, you harvest strength. If you start your day feeding frustration, you'll find frustration at every turn. But if you wake up and feed your mind with vision, purpose, belief, then your day bends in that direction. The world will throw chaos at you. That's a given. but what you bring to the table before that chaos even hits. That's your power, that's your shield, that's your edge. So many people don't realize that their life is shaped not by the big moments, but by the thousands of tiny choices they make every single morning. The way they speak to themselves before they step out of bed, the story they tell themselves when they look in the mirror, that inner dialogue, that voice, that's the real architect of their day. And if that voice is rooted in defeat, hesitation, and self-pity, don't be surprised when everything else starts falling apart. But change the tone of that voice, change its language, change its rhythm, and you start to rewire not just your day, but your destiny. You see, the mind is always listening. Every word you speak, every thought you repeat, it's taking notes, it's recording it, it's shaping your reality according to the script you keep feeding it. And when your mornings begin with dread or distraction or defeat, the rest of your day will play out like a song you've already written. But if your mornings begin with intention, with a declaration, with a sense of fire, then your day becomes a masterpiece in motion. That's why I say this. You set the tone, nobody else, not your boss, not the traffic, not the weather, not your bank account, not your followers or your failures. You set the tone with how you think, how you speak, and how you move, and once you take full ownership of that, you stop letting life happen to you and start happening to life. Some people stumble out of bed already bracing for things to go wrong. They expect the worst, so the worst is what they find, but that's not a life. That's a sleepwalk. That's giving away your power before the day even begins. You've got to flip that script. When you wake up, don't start the day scrolling through someone else's life. Don't reach for your phone before you reach for your purpose. Take a moment, take a breath. Remind yourself of who you are and what you're here to do. Speak life into your mind. Set a tone that says, I don't care what's coming my way today. I'm ready, I'm focused, I've got something to offer, and I'm not backing down. And you don't need hours, you don't need to climb a mountain or run 10 miles. You just need a few intentional minutes, just long enough to get your mind aligned with your mission, just long enough to prime the pump. Start by asking yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? What energy do I want to carry? What impact do I want to have? And then get specific. Picture it, feel it, own it. Because clarity first thing in the morning is a weapon. It's a tool. And most people are out here walking into battle with no armor, no strategy, no awareness of the fight they're in. Not you, not anymore. Your mindset is the gatekeeper of your day. It's the first domino. If you knock that over with purpose, everything else starts falling into place. But if you ignore it, if you rush past it, if you leave it to chance, then your day will be driven by whatever grabs your attention first. And let me tell you something, the world is hungry for your attention. It will gladly serve you fear. It will gladly hand you distraction. It will feed you noise if you don't start your day with a filter. You've got to choose your thoughts the same way a warrior chooses their weapons. Carefully, with intention, because once you do, once your mind is in sync with your spirit, once you've told yourself what this day means to you, then the outside world starts responding differently. You walk taller. You speak clearer, you lead stronger, and that energy, it becomes contagious. People feel it, opportunities feel it, and suddenly your whole world shifts, not because something out there changed, but because something in you did. And that's the secret, that's the switch. You don't have to wait for your circumstances to improve before you upgrade your mindset. That's backward. Your mindset leads, your reality follows. You want to feel powerful? Then think powerful. You want to feel confident, then train your mind to speak confidence. You want to feel grateful, calm, focused, driven, then decide, right here, right now, that you're going to carry those values into the day. It won't be easy. Distractions will try to hijack your thoughts. Fear will try to pull you off course. Old habits will whisper lies in your ear, but that's part of the process. That's how the mind gets stronger. That's how you earn your focus, by fighting for it, and every time you win that fight, every time you take back control of your mindset, even for 5 minutes, you grow, you evolve, you become the kind of person who doesn't need perfect conditions to show up with excellence. Because excellence, my friend, starts in the mind, long before it ever shows up in results, long before anyone claps for you or recognizes your name. It starts with you in the quiet moments when no one's watching, when you choose to think, speak, and move with intention. So let me ask you, how did you wake up this morning? Were you on autopilot? Were you already bracing for the worst? Or did you plant your feet, take a breath, and say, let's build something today, let's be someone today, let's think better so we can live better? Because that's all it takes. Just one thought, one spark, one morning where you set the tone and refuse to let anything or anyone take it from you. The truth is, mindset is the master key. You want change, you want growth, you want progress. Then don't just chase different outcomes, build a different outlook. Don't just want a better life, think a better life into existence, one thought, one morning, one intention at a time. So the next time you rise, remember this: before you touch your phone, touch your purpose. Before you chase the day, center your mind. Before you worry about how others see you, make sure you know how you see you. Because the tone you set in the first hour sets the rhythm for every hour that follows. And when your mindset is strong, nothing, and I mean nothing, can break you. Now go set the tone. Every morning is sacred. It's not just the start of a new day. No, it's the rebirth of your power. The rebirth of your choice, the rebirth of your vision, your strength, your mission. The sun doesn't rise just to light the sky, it rises to remind you that you've been handed a blank canvas. Again, you see, most people drag yesterday into today like a chain. They carry the weight of last night's mistakes, last month's doubts, last year's fears, and without even realizing it, they start the day buried in the rubble of the past. But you don't have to live that way. Because every morning, every single morning, is a clean slate. It doesn't matter what you did yesterday. It doesn't matter who doubted you, who left you, what you lost. You've been handed another opportunity to build something better. That's the beauty of life. It doesn't freeze you in place. It gives you motion. And with each sunrise, you're being told, go again, try again, become again. But here's the thing. This fresh start, it's not passive. It's not something that just happens to you. No, you've got to take it. You've got to reach out, grab it with both hands, and decide, I'm not going to waste this. I'm not going to snooze through this chance. I'm going to use this day like it's a stepping stone to something greater. And it doesn't matter if you're starting from rock bottom. It doesn't matter if the people around you don't believe in you. They don't have to. You do, because growth isn't flashy. It's not loud. It doesn't always come with applause. Sometimes it's just you and the quiet discipline of showing up again and again and again. That's what mornings are for. You don't grow when it's easy. You grow when you wake up tired, discouraged, afraid, and you still rise. You still move, you still push, and little by little, those small decisions start to compound into something extraordinary. Now I know, there are days when the weight feels too heavy. Days when the dream seems too far. When the mirror doesn't show you the person you want to be yet, but that's okay. You're not finished. You're still under construction. And today, this very morning, is your chance to lay another brick. The most successful people aren't the ones with the perfect plans or the flawless backgrounds. They're the ones who mastered the art of the morning, the art of beginning again, no matter what happened the day before. Because what matters most is not how far you have to go, it's the fact that you're willing to go, that you're willing to become, that you believe deep in your soul that today holds something different if you're brave enough to meet it with intention. Too many people live as if they're stuck, as if their story's already been written, as if the best parts of life have already passed them by, but I'll tell you something, nothing is written in stone unless you stop writing. You are the author, you are the one holding the pen right now, and you can choose right here in this moment to write a new chapter, one that starts with today I built, today I grew, today I became more than I was yesterday, but that requires commitment. It requires the decision to stop reliving what went wrong and start creating what could go right. It requires you to stop measuring your progress with someone else's ruler and start celebrating your own steps, no matter how small. Because growth isn't always loud, sometimes it's as quiet as choosing discipline over distraction. Sometimes it's as subtle as speaking kinder to yourself when you stumble. Sometimes it's just choosing to begin again with no guarantees, no applause, and no safety net, just faith. That's what fresh starts are made of, not perfection, not certainty, but belief, willingness, grit, and every morning you get to decide whether you'll live from that place or whether you'll fall back into the patterns that kept you stuck. That's your power. That's the one thing no one can take from you. Your ability to begin again. Don't waste it. Don't let your morning slip through your fingers because of yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's worries. Be here right now with both feet planted in the present, because that's where growth happens, not in the past, not in the future, but in the now, this moment, this breath, this decision. That's where everything begins. So I ask you, what are you going to build today? What are you going to feed your mind with? What are you going to say to yourself when you look in the mirror? What actions are you going to take, not because they're easy, but because they move you toward the life you've been dreaming about? Don't wait for the world to give you permission. Don't wait for motivation to strike like lightning. Create the fire. Build your own reason. Be your own source. That's what winners do. They don't wait for conditions to be perfect. They wake up and make them perfect with their mindset, with their choices, with their heart. And hear me clearly, you're not too late. You're not too far gone. You haven't missed your chance. As long as you're waking up, as long as you've got breath in your lungs and fight in your spirit, you can become more. You can reinvent, rebuild, reignite. So when the sun rises tomorrow, don't meet it with hesitation. Meet it with fire, meet it with vision, meet it with the unshakable decision that today you build, today you grow, today you become more than you were, because life rewards those who show up and keep showing up. Not just when it's convenient, not just when it's comfortable, but every single morning, relentless, focused, unstoppable. The morning isn't the end of your rest. It's the beginning of your rise, so rise. There's something sacred about the early hours, isn't there? Before the world stirs, before the noise begins, before the demands, distractions, and deadlines start pulling at you from all sides, in that silence, while most of the world is still asleep, that's when success begins. That's when the real work happens. That's when the foundation of your future is being laid. Not by luck, not by chance, but by you. In those quiet hours, you hold power most people overlook. It's not the kind of power that comes with flashing lights or loud applause. No, it's the quiet kind, the kind that builds from the inside, the kind that whispers, "This is your time. This is your moment to shape what the world will one day see." You see, long before anyone notices your results, your reputation, your rise, they're shaped in silence. When no one's watching, when no one's clapping, when it's just you and your habits, you and your thoughts, you and your decisions, that's where champions are made, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. Not on the stage, but in the stillness. And if you want to become someone extraordinary, you've got to learn how to master that silence. You've got to stop waiting for motivation, inspiration, or perfect timing, and start owning the quiet moments like they matter more than anything else. Because they do. Success doesn't arrive all at once. It doesn't come crashing through your door one day yelling, "Here I am." It shows up slowly, quietly, one habit at a time, one morning at a time, one decision at a time. You build it with the little things, with the choice to get up instead of hit snooze, with the decision to feed your mind instead of scrolling your phone, with the commitment to your growth, even when no one's keeping score. Especially then, you've got to ask yourself, what are you doing before the world wakes up? Because that window, that space before the world demands your attention, that's the hour where your future is decided. That's when your mind is most open, most clear, most willing to listen. And yet, too many people fill that time with noise, with worry, with laziness, with meaningless routines. They wake up reacting, responding, consuming, but not you. You're different. You wake up creating, directing, building, because you understand something most never do. The first hour of your day is the architect of the rest of it. If you claim that hour, if you control that silence, everything else falls in line. Let others sleep on their potential. Let others rush into their day without a plan. You step into that silence with purpose. You use it to think clearly, to remind yourself of your mission, to set your intention, to sharpen your tools, to prepare your mind, and it doesn't take all day. Just a few minutes of clarity, of focus, of power, before the chaos begins, can change everything. That's where confidence is born, not from praise, but from preparation, not from results, but from routine. You wake up early not just to beat the sun, but to beat the doubt, to beat the hesitation, to beat the version of you that wants to stay comfortable, safe, and stuck. Because here's the truth most people don't want to hear. The future isn't built in public. It's built in private. It's built in those silent, early hours where you do what others won't, where you say yes to the difficult, where you train your mind, where you strengthen your discipline, where you make the kinds of decisions that seem invisible, but lead to outcomes that are impossible to ignore. You're not waiting for the world to catch up to your dream. You're becoming the kind of person who's ready for it when it arrives, and that takes work, quiet work, repetitive work, sometimes even boring work, but you do it anyway. Why? Because that's what builds greatness. That's what separates the person who wishes from the one who becomes. Most people spend their mornings avoiding responsibility, hitting snooze, complaining, rushing, distracted. They start their day already behind. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And they wonder why nothing changes, why their goals stay out of reach. But that won't be your story, because you know, if you want to lead the day, you've got to begin by leading yourself. You've got to own those first moments like your future depends on it. Because it does. And I'm not talking about some perfect routine. This isn't about making your bed or drinking a green smoothie or checking off a list so you can feel productive. No, this is about alignment. This is about being honest with yourself. This is about taking the time to ask, who am I becoming and what am I doing this morning to support that? Because every habit either helps you or hurts you. There's no neutral ground. You're either reinforcing discipline or feeding distraction. You're either strengthening your future or sabotaging it, and the morning is when that decision matters most, because the morning is when your willpower is strongest, your focus is sharpest, your heart is clearest. And if you can win there, if you can control the first battlefield, then the rest of the day starts bending in your favor, but it doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you treat the silence like sacred ground. When you stop rushing past the stillness and start listening to it, because there's a voice that only speaks when things are quiet, the voice of your purpose, your intuition, your higher self, and if you drown it out with distractions, you miss it. So give yourself space to hear it. Let your thoughts breathe before the world floods in. Let your mind settle before the noise begins. Let your soul stretch before the weight of the day hits your shoulders. Because in that silence, you'll find your power, you'll find clarity, you'll find strength, you'll find the quiet conviction that says, I'm ready, I'm prepared, I'm not waiting for opportunities, I'm becoming the kind of person who creates them. Let others chase shortcuts. Let others sleep through their purpose. You're not here for comfort. You're here for growth. And that growth starts when you stop being afraid of the quiet and start using it. Remember this, the person you want to become already exists, but only if you're willing to meet them in the silence. Before the distractions, before the noise, before the rest of the world decides who you should be, you must decide who you will be, and you decide that by how you start your day, not occasionally, not when it's convenient, but consistently. That's how habits form, that's how strength is built, that's how your life begins to shift, not with one grand gesture, but with thousands of quiet, deliberate choices that no one else sees. But you see them, you feel them, and over time, those choices become a force no one can ignore. So tomorrow, when the alarm goes off, don't reach for your phone, don't reach for comfort, reach for purpose. Reach for that silence and ask yourself, what am I building today? What will this day add to the person I'm becoming? And then move with that energy, speak with that clarity, live with that urgency, because when you start your day with purpose, everything else begins to align. Your habits sharpen, your focus narrows, your actions gain weight, and day by day, that silence turns into strength, that strength turns into progress, and that progress turns into a life you don't need to escape from, a life you designed. And it all begins before the world wakes up. Own the silence, and the world will eventually have no choice but to hear your voice. So rise early, rise with purpose, and rise to meet the version of you that's already waiting in the silence. Discipline, it's not a word most people get excited about. It's not flashy, it doesn't sparkle, it doesn't always come with applause or a spotlight. But I'll tell you something, if you're serious about becoming someone greater, if you're serious about changing your life, your future, your destiny, discipline isn't just important, it's everything, because discipline is the bridge. It's the bridge between who you are now and who you dream of becoming, and that bridge, it's not going to build itself. It doesn't appear by accident. You can't buy it, you can't borrow it, you build it. You reinforce it, you cross it. Every single morning. See, it's easy to dream, it's easy to say, one day I'll be that person. To imagine the success, the health, the wealth, the confidence, the peace of mind. Everyone has visions of who they could become, but the truth, very few are willing to pay the price. Very few are willing to do the uncomfortable, unseen, uncelebrated work that separates the ordinary from the exceptional. And that price is paid in discipline. It's paid when you wake up early, even when your body screams for sleep. It's paid when you say no to distractions that promise instant pleasure but steal your long-term growth. It's paid when you do what needs to be done, not just when you feel like it, but especially when you don't. That's what builds character. That's what builds power. You don't get stronger by avoiding the hard things. You grow by facing them, by deciding this morning I cross the bridge again, not for anyone else's approval, not for some shiny reward, but because you made a promise to yourself, a promise to become someone you're proud of. Someone who doesn't just talk about discipline, but lives it, because discipline isn't punishment, it's freedom. It frees you from the chaos of a scattered life. It frees you from regret, from doubt. From the guilt of knowing you could have done more but didn't. Discipline sets you free because it aligns your actions with your intentions. It turns your wishes into reality. It puts power in your hands every day, every moment. But it starts small. It always starts small. That's the mistake most people make. They wait for a massive wave of motivation. They think change will come with a sudden burst, but the real transformation, it's quiet. It's subtle. It starts with simple decisions, choosing water instead of soda, choosing reading instead of scrolling, choosing 10 more minutes of effort instead of quitting early. Each of those choices is a step across the bridge. And every time you take that step, you build momentum, confidence, trust in yourself, because here's the truth: if you don't trust yourself to keep your own word, it doesn't matter how big your dream is. You'll sabotage it before it ever gets off the ground. Discipline teaches you to trust yourself again. It teaches you that you're capable, that you're in control, that no matter what your past looked like, your future is in your hands. If you're willing to take the reins and lead yourself. And leading yourself is the hardest part, not because you're weak, not because you don't have what it takes, but because the world around you has trained you to avoid discomfort, to run from challenge, to seek the easy way out. But ease never changed anyone. Ease never forged strength, never built character, never awakened the giant inside you. Discipline does. It demands more from you. It pulls the best out of you. It takes the raw materials of your life, your habits, your routines, your thoughts, and reshapes them into something powerful, something focused, something unshakable. And it doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen when you choose it. Morning after morning, choice after choice, step after step. Every morning when your eyes open, you're given a choice. Will you live by emotion or by decision? Will you be led by comfort or by commitment? Will you let the world dictate your direction, or will you take ownership? Because ownership is what discipline gives you. It gives you the power to say, I don't need perfect conditions. I don't need motivation. I don't need someone cheering me on. I've got a mission. I've got a standard, and I rise to meet it. Not someday, but today. That's what walking the bridge looks like. You wake up, you lace up your soul, and you walk it. Whether it's raining or shining, whether you're tired or energized, whether people believe in you or not. Because discipline isn't about how you feel. It's about who you've decided to be, and the more you practice it, the stronger it gets. At first, it might feel heavy, like dragging your feet across a rope bridge in the fog. You won't see the end. You'll wonder if it's worth it, but then something shifts. Your legs get stronger, your mind gets sharper, your will becomes iron, and soon, you're not just walking the bridge, you're running it. You're owning your time. Owning your habits, owning your identity, because discipline isn't just about what you do, it's about who you are becoming, and that person, that future version of you who's calm under pressure, who's strong when tested, who's built a life of meaning and momentum, that version is watching, waiting, not for the world to change, but for you to rise. You don't get that life by waiting. You earn it by showing up, by staying committed when it's boring, by doing what's hard when no one's watching, by becoming someone whose presence demands respect not because of what you say, but because of how you live. That's what discipline gives you. And listen, no one can do it for you, not your parents, not your friends, not your partner, not your mentors. You have to walk the bridge. You have to pay the toll. You have to cross it every single morning, knowing that today's decisions are carving tomorrow's reality, and it's not always going to feel magical. Some mornings you'll question why you're doing it, why it matters, why you're pushing so hard when others seem so content with less. But that's the sign you're on the right path. Because the path of discipline always feels narrow, always feels lonely, but it leads to everything they told you was impossible. And once you start reaping the rewards, once you start feeling that inner fire, that quiet pride, that knowing, you'll never go back. You'll protect your discipline like it's your crown, because it is. It's your badge of honor, the proof that you don't just dream, you do. You don't just talk, you walk. You don't just want change, you become it. So every morning, as the world still sleeps, make it your sacred duty to cross that bridge, to do the small things with great purpose, to remind yourself that you don't need to be perfect, you just need to be present. You just need to be willing. You just need to be disciplined enough to say, I don't quit, I don't wait, I don't need easy, I'm building something greater and I'll walk this bridge every day until who I am becomes who I was born to be. Keep crossing.